Hello Tech Genius, I am Ravi. Have you ever imagined a place where learning is as dynamic as the technology shaping your world? Then here's a deal. With iMatix, you can make sure the learning is exciting, impactful right from the beginning. You have interactive sessions with expert-led courses. In the world of tech, from data science to cloud computing, it's not just about a session, it's about doing, building, learning by solving real problems. So let's get started. Now, one more important part on the D page is your data sources. How are you getting the data? Yes, it is from the DB agreed. Which DB it is? Is it other external application or your application? How are you retrieving it? Yes, here comes different options. When it's a connector, it could be a Ravi ST, any kind of connector, which means I'm getting the data from external applications. Anyways, once we start looking at integrations, we look at this part. I have a data transform. Generally, data transforms will not interact with the DB. It is activities that mostly interact with your databases. But still, if you are looking at a data transform for sourcing your D page, yes, we can use. Then the report definition. Earlier, for a single D page, you did not have a report definition as a source. It is there only for a listed D page. But now even we got this report definition for a single instance as well. By default, it used to be a lookup. When you have to just get one instance, lookup is always the default option. Then you have robotic automation, you have activity. It's the important one. You have an activity. This is quite interesting. In a D page, you can refer an activity. In an activity, you can refer a D page. Both are possible. This is where through the activity, you will retrieve the data and you can share it across your D page. Then I have robotic automations and desktop automations where a bit of other integrations are also required. You need to have a bot that has to be connected to your desktop, and an integration between your Pega environment and the robot environment has to be established. And then this one is an interesting and new source where I can have multiple sources at a time to retrieve my information. Probably I need to get data from different applications. I can add in the sources. One could be through a connector. One could be through an activity. One could be a data trace. The order in which you define the sources will define the order in which the records are retrieved. Aggregate sources will bring data together. All of this data is put together on your D page. Along with this, we have another option where you can decide an alternate source. For example, if suppose let's take a connector that's available to retrieve the information. But for whatever reason, the application is down and the connector is not able to retrieve information for you. And I can use alternate sources. If the service is up and running, I'll go for the source to be a connector. If not, I might use an activity. This is either of the one. Only one source would be active at a given point of time because we have a when condition here. If I add more, it becomes your otherwise when or else if. The first condition that is met will become the source. The rest of them will not be involved. For aggregate sources, all the data sources are involved. Everyone that you list up will be involved. That's about the data sources. And a very, very important aspect of the D pages is your refresh strategies. How often are you likely to refresh your D page? Because if a person accesses my application today, I shouldn't show him the D page that is, fetched last year. No, it has to be immediate. And again, that depends upon the type of application on the domain you are handling. Let's see refresh strategies. Because retrieving information is one thing, and how do you do that? How often do you refresh that data is also a very, very important aspect. Because you cannot show the stale data to the user. Suppose you are working for a trading application related to stocks, investments, brokerages, and all. The data has to be, it should almost be live data. Probably for every second or for every 10-15 seconds, you have to keep on showing the current data. Even a couple of hours back data will also not work. Depending upon that, what kind of application are we dealing with, what data it is, how often the data is being modified. Looking at all those, we have to plan the refresh strategies. There are 3 refresh strategies. First one is reload once per interaction. Here the D page is loaded once per interaction. The very first time you access the D page, it is refreshed. More likely relating to your, the example could be IRCTC. When you first initially start your transaction, you see around 50 tickets are available. That holds good until you end the transaction. Towards the end, you see only 25 are available. Until you reach the end of the transaction, you see that 50 would be available for you. The refresh happens only at the beginning of your interaction. Do not reload when this is a purely conditional base. If some condition is met, you don't need to reload the D page. Otherwise, it has to be reloaded. This is an entirely conditional based reload. Reload is older than 1 minute. Do not reload when it is based on when condition. Correct? You can define the condition. If the condition is met, I am not reloading the D page. If the condition is false, only then it is reloaded. Maybe it could be related to some status flags or something. If a particular key or any kind of field, if it is set to false, then only I will reload it. Otherwise, I don't need to sort of that kind of thing. Then reload a folder, then this is also again a time-bound reload. If my data is older than a certain period, I would like to reload it. For example, your gold rates and petrol rates, once they are decided, probably like 12 am. They are decided, the same rates will continue until the next day. For all the 24 hours, you will have the same gold rate and petrol rate. In those scenarios, I can choose 1 day as the time period. And if my data is older than 1 day, only then I would like to reload it. Otherwise, I don't need to. because it stays same throughout that 1 day period of time. Then things like your stocks trading and all. For them, I might not use even minutes. They have to be in seconds. My data has to be refreshed for every 2 seconds or every 1 second. Could be, depending upon the domain, type of application, the frequency with which your data is modified. Accordingly, we will decide the refresh strategies. For reload, if older, then if I give, say, 5 minutes, and if the user wants to access the data. For now, at suppose 8 o'clock, I 8:05, I want to refresh, and the user wants to access the data at 8 o'clock. To 8, he will see the same data. Let me put it this way. I'll just add one thing here. When you choose this reload folder, then suppose I'll take this to our scenario. Let me put it in the notepad. There's one interesting aspect here. Now it says reload if older than, and you set it for 2 hours, which means for every 2 hours, your data is going to refresh. Now at 8 o'clock, I have accessed the D page and I assume my data is refreshed. The first refresh happened at 8. Now, when is the next refresh? When should it happen? After 2 hours. Ideally at 10 o'clock. Then it should happen at 12, and then it should happen at 2. Likewise, it should continue. Yes. Now at 8 o'clock I have access to my page, but again I come back only the next day. I come back the next day again at 8 o'clock. I did not access my D page on the previous day anymore. I just did it once, and after 24 hours I came back again. How many reloads do you think will happen? At next 8 o'clock only, it will happen when we are accessing my D. Exactly. All the 12 unnecessary reloads will not happen. The system will not reload it just because you have mentioned 2 hours. Instead, what it will do is it will check for the next access. When is the next access happening? It is. If it is 8 o'clock, it will check. Is the data stale? Is the data more than 2 hours old? If yes, only then it will reload the data. It doesn't do the 12 unnecessary reloads will not happen. It is not reloaded until the next request for the page comes. Now for this scenario, you came back at 9 o'clock. 2 hours is your refresh time, but you came back at 9 o'clock. Now will the data be refreshed? Even though you are trying to access it, the system checks whether the data is more than 2 hours stale or not. No, there is just only 1 hour passed. The system is not going to refresh it. Whatever previous data that you have on 8 o'clock, the one that you have on the clipboard, only that will be available even at 9. But at 10:01, now the data is going to refresh. If I access my data at 10:01, yes, the system is going to check. Yes, 2 hours is passed and then it will refresh my database. Clear with this? Now, yes, this choice again, like I said, depends upon how frequently your data is being modified. In few scenarios relating to country codes, you are showing the country codes on the screen to a user. How often do you think it has to be refreshed? Around 150 country codes are there, assuming not many times. Once the person selects the country code, it will not change more than 1 or 2 times. Correct the country codes as in whenever a new country is added or whenever there's a change on the code or the country is being removed. Only in those scenarios I might need to change or refresh the database, which is completely a conditional base. I don't even need time for it. It may not be a time-bound one. It can be a conditional base. If a new record is added or a country is removed, that's when I would like to refresh it. It goes on the conditional base. The same holds good for your list type, whereas for savable we have some extra things coming up regarding the save options. We'll talk about this during the DB updates anyways. Let's try to retrieve this data using the deep page now. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.